Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Thanksgiving Day Vegas spread picks coming your way, and I know it's Monday. The Tuesday video will be up as well, but this is a tradition. Every Monday we get in here early. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. Let's get to the first game. We're going to Detroit. We got the Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. Lions minus 2.5. Money, 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 money. And we'll talk about the total after. But I have the Lions to win and cover on a borderline money pick. And just a disclaimer, I had the Packers as a money pick last week, and I felt like the Giants would cover against the Lions. I'm extremely worried about the Detroit Lions in this game. The way their interior is blocking is just terrible. Goff does not have a lot of escapability, and we know the Green Bay Packers will bring pressure, and they'll bring pressure a lot. How will the Lions deal with Micah Parsons and company? I think the Lions slowed this game down. I know the Lions have more explosive players than the Packers, but the Lions need to get back to basics. They need to be grimy, and they need to be gritty. I think we see the Lions running the ball way more than normal, and I think this needs to be a Jahmyr Gibbs game. I mean, I understand Dan Campbell he absolutely loves David Montgomery, and I do too, but Jahmyr Gibbs needs to be on the field as much as humanly possible. And we saw what that Packers defense did to J.J. McCarthy and my Minnesota Vikings. Were you surprised? No, I wasn't. But this Packers defense does have some vulnerabilities. But the way to attack them is you have to establish the run. If Detroit doesn't establish the run in this game, they're going to get spit out, and Green Bay's going to come into Detroit and take control of the division. On the other side, we have a Detroit defense that's reeling, and I've been defending Jordan Love the whole year. I don't think Jordan Love is a great quarterback by any means, but I do think Jordan Love has a good skill set, a good deep ball, and he can get it down the field. But I do think the Lions will be able to get pressure this game. They got pressure all game against the Giants, yet they weren't able to get Jameis Winston down. I think a big part of this matchup is the spot. I think on this short week on Thanksgiving, Detroit playing at home is a huge advantage. And you worry about Detroit's secondary. Like, that's been their bugaboo the whole year, and their schematics in the secondary haven't been great. When you don't have great corners, when you have guys like Terrion Arnold who've been banged up the whole year, you got to switch up your defense. You can't keep going man-to-man. And I think we see the Lions finally have a come-to-Jesus moment. And like I said, I think the Lions, the main aspect of this game is they need to slow the game down. And let's talk about the Packers offense. The Packers offense didn't need to do anything against the Minnesota Vikings. They didn't. They didn't answer any of our questions. Here are my questions about the Packers offense. Can they run the ball consistently like they did last year? Not really, and it looks like Josh Jacobs won't play. Can these wide receivers hold on to the ball? Not really. We haven't seen anyone come to fruition. I know Christian Watson is back, and Dontavian Wicks can at least hold on to the ball now, but I don't think the Packers have enough players, enough dogs to go against Detroit in this situation. And one last thing I want to say. when it comes down to a close game like this, when the season's on the line, you have to go with which coach you trust more. And the coach I trust more in this situation is Dan Campbell. This game is going to come down to 3, 4, 5 leverage plays. This game's going to come down to a 4th and 2, a 4th and 3, a long field goal to win it. And at this point, I side with Detroit. And I like the way the Packers are constructing their roster, but something is missing on that offense. They'll have opportunities against Detroit's defense, but time in and time again, we've seen this Packers offense stutter in the big situations. The only time we really saw them come in, take a game by the scruff of their neck and completely dominate as an offensive unit was against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but Tucker Kraft isn't walking through that door. I know it's a little bit early for player props, but one I mentioned on the Friday show, Dontavian Wicks, his overs. He's turning in to Jordan Love's most reliable target. Give me the Lions minus 2.5, making a money pick. I'm going for a surprised under 49.5. I think this will be a slow pace of game, and when you watch the Packers, their games are slow and bureaucratic, and the Vikings game is just one example of that. Next game, we got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Dallas Cowboys. Chiefs minus 3.5. I'm going to Cowboys to cover like I did the last 2 weeks. I could look like a complete fool. And I almost looked like a complete fool in that first half against the Philadelphia Eagles. But I was shocked and surprised by the Cowboys actually showing mental toughness. And I know the Chiefs showed a lot of mental toughness to get it done against the Colts. But they lived in the Colts' red zone, and they're just not converting enough opportunities. Pat Mahomes is fine, but something is missing with this offense, whether it be the offensive line, whether it be the receiving core, whether it be the play calling from Big Red Andy Reid. Something is missing in this Chiefs offense. Like, I think the Chiefs win by a field goal, but if you're giving me the hook in Big D, in Thanksgiving, in that type of big moment where everyone in America's watching, I'm taking the hook. And I've been telling you guys the whole year, and I have looked silly at times, that this Dallas offense is a top 5 unit in the league. When you got guys like CD Lamb, when you got guys like George Pickens, when you got a offensive coordinator, head coach like Schottenheimer, who's not scared to run the ball and get that play action going, this is a Cowboys team that can be a tour de force on offense. And I think there's a chance they could even sneak in and win this game. Now, I know you do have a little bit of a quarterback differential. That's why I'm not going to get crazy here. That's why I'm not going to pick Dak Prescott to beat Pat Mahomes. But this Chiefs team is reeling. They're up against the ropes, and they're waiting for a knockout blow. I know the Chiefs' run defense, their defense overall, was absolutely magnificent against the Colts, but how much of that Chiefs comeback was the Chiefs defense? And how much of it was Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen losing hope in Daniel Jones? This is going to be a good litmus test for the Chiefs. In this AFC is absolutely packed. This is a must-win for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs get it done late with a Buckner field goal, but I do like the Cowboys plus 3.5. As for the over-under 51.5, I like the over. I like the over, but the Chiefs games haven't been going over like they have in previous years. I did pick the under against the Chiefs Colts, but there wasn't a lot of science to it. But the reason why I like the over in this game is the Chiefs' red zone offense can't get worse. Their mistakes can't get worse. And also, I like the way this Dallas defense is playing with the new additions, getting Hooker back from injury, getting Quinnen Williams back. That's obviously shored up a unit that was so bad. But still, there's limitations to this. The Cowboys still play a lot of zone. They still play a lot of gaps. The teams that have been been giving Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs a lot of trouble seem to be the teams that go heavy man-to-man and challenge them. With that being said, I like the Cowboys to cover with the 3.5. Chiefs win the game with a late field goal. Next game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. Burrow, are we going to see him? At the Baltimore Ravens, over under 51.5. And the Bengals are +7 to cover. Now, I'm picking this game assuming Burrow's going to play. All the tea leaves are pointing to him playing. If we find out he's not going to play, I'll redo this video later in the week. But I got the Bengals to cover, Ravens to win. And I'll be honest with you, last week, that was one of the most frustrating Ravens non-covers of my life. Only winning by 13 against the Jets. But can I be honest? The Ravens look like they're just hapless. They look like they're not even, they look like they're in first gear on offense. They just can't rev up. They can't get Derrick Henry going. And Lamar Jackson does not look comfortable with these receivers. And the Bengals just put in 2 pretty decent defensive shifts in a row. I'm not saying the Bengals defense is going to be good. I'm not saying the Bengals defense has turned any sort of corner. But I think at this point, when the Ravens are laying more than 3.5 points, you kind of have to go the other side. And I'm not sure there's going to be some sort of Ravens renaissance. I'm not sure Lamar Jackson is going to turn it on. He had plenty of times to run it and create big plays against the New York Jets, and we were just left waiting. We were left wanting for just a little bit more, and we didn't get it. Also, this Ravens defense, I don't know if their pass rush is up to snub. And a big problem with the Bengals, even though it's improved, has been their pass blocking. They're getting the run blocking going with Chase Brown, and the last 3-4 weeks, they've been able to pass block and give people time. So even if Flacco is in here, and Jamar Chase plays, there's not going to be any T. Higgins. I like the Bengals to cover the +7. And maybe once Joe Burrow gets ruled out, this moves up. If this gets up to 7.5, 8 with Joe Flacco, I think I'll be able to maybe take a nibble at it. The over-under 51.5. Guys, you say Bengals, I'm still going over. But like I said, I want to reiterate my point. There's still big questions about this Ravens defense, especially some of the holes and gaps they're leaving in the secondary. Tyrod Taylor was able to move the ball. Guys, important Thanksgiving message. Guys, you guys mean a lot to me. Anyone who's joined Patreon, anyone who's shared the videos, anyone who's left a comment, anyone who has just said Lawson get better or Lawson great job. Guys, I really appreciate all of you guys. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. It always is. Let's enjoy some football. Let's enjoy some bets. And guys, it's been a crazy, crazy year of the NFL. But please, make sure you relax. Make sure you cherish your family. We don't know how long we're going to be here, man. We just don't. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Love you guys.